finish this up today. I feel considerably better. Bit more vomiting, throat hurts a little, but I can finish this because I really wanted to do this one. I was really excited about one of the last interviews I had, and I wanted to make this part of the show when I went over the practical methodology on how to actually do shadow work. All right, so in the first episode, yeah, wonderful. In the first part, I went over what shadow work is. Okay, some of the idea where the idea sort of comes from. I guess how it fits into the current climate. Okay, with the narcissistic nihilism, with letting go of your old religions and cultures, trying to figure out what it is you're trying to do. And once again, part of the reason I was so excited about this episode is I had a bit of an epiphany. Not some huge metaphysical epiphany or anything, but more a collection of from thoughts that I've had, and it's becoming more and more apparent that most of the people who are in the spiritual stuff are looking for meaning in life, and they're not looking for meaning of life. See, meaning of life, that's the metaphysical question. Okay, that's what I do. That's what I'm interested in. Most people aren't looking for that. They'll come here trying to figure that out because why? Because they're trying to reassess or refit themselves to reality, and so they look to find the mechanics or dynamics of reality at large so that they can somehow fit themselves to it. I hear this consistently when let's say I'm talking about the qualities of quantities represented as numbers. And, I'll begin to explain it, and as they start to see things that they understand, start to notice things they understand, the first thing they try and do is fit their life to it. Why? Because the question of meaning of life wasn't as interesting to them as meaning in life. And I'm not saying which one should or shouldn't be, because I understand I understand the need or the resulting effects that we now have. People getting rid of their old cultures and religions, the nihilistic narcissism, where you strip the meaning out of everything else in the world because you don't know how to determine what has relevant meaning. So some person says this thing means a lot. The other person says, oh, no, it doesn't really mean anything. Nothing really means anything. Okay, that's the nihilism. But the narcissism comes along because now that you've stripped the meaning out of everything else in the world, the only thing left is yourself. Which is part of the reason I'm consistently saying, what is you? Because it's all you have left after what you've done to your relationship to reality. And you can say it's been done to you. A lot of people have the trauma from religion and they don't necessarily go through it. They just jump into the next thing and they say, hey, I'm here and I'm a god, I don't believe in Jesus no more. And those things are easy to say. All right. But when some of this shit hits you for real, man, it hits you. And it's not what people are expecting. And this is part of the reason I say that, because when someone is looking for meaning in life, they only go so far in this work. They get relatively comfortable human life, and then they stop with this. The question of meaning of life is no longer relevant anymore. They've found once again some type of relevance in their life that they can fit themselves to establish meaning, like a narrative meaning in their existence. And so they're not really interested in meaning of life questions anymore. I'm infinitely interested in meaning of life. I'm a metaphysician. The philosophy is wonderful for me. But I understand this. And so that's where I'm going to push more of what I'm talking about for people. Because the meaning in life stuff isn't even that complicated. It can all really be very simple. It's a lot of the presuppositions. Anyways, the first thing I wanted to do, after my bit of a rant there, the first thing I want to do is I want to play this piece. I want to play this piece from last episode. I played a conversation between Jordan Peterson and John Ravecki. There was a comment there that Jordan made that I didn't play. I didn't feel was appropriate for the last episode, and I felt was more appropriate for this episode. To start to get an idea of Because in this part two, I want to talk about the practicality. I want to talk about the methodology. I want to talk about what it is you're looking at, how you can actually engage with it in terms of pursuing meaning in life. Okay? Um, because you strip the meaning of everything else. Nothing else has any meaning anymore. You know, back when we had the old cultures and religions, you were defined based in that religion, and it fit you to reality. So meaning wasn't some huge existential problem like it is today, because we don't have any cultural religion that fits us to reality. In fact, the I guess you could say the religious culture of the ethos, well, no, ethos era. Although ethos could be, I don't know. I have to look that up in a second. Um, the religious culture of the day is Western science. I mean, you can hear anybody who's out here talking spirituality, who's claiming to break it down, always reduces it to Western science. Why? Because that's the underlying cultural religion at the time. That's how we make things real, by explaining it and framing it in those terms. But inevitably, what it does is it reduces everything to a physicalist perspective. And as such, people generally miss how shadow work goes. Okay. Um, as I told you before, the direction of go within is a psychological direction. And part of some people's hang up with that is that they reduce psychology to the brain. The brain is neurology. Psychology is something completely different. I mean, that's part of the reason Panic would even be interested in somebody like Carl Jung. All right, not because he's doing some super secret ancient thing that no one knows about or no one can really do. Only selected people can do. It's not even like it's not the case. It's the direction. It's how he related to these things. Okay, look. So I want to play this clip real quick of Jordan Peterson making a comment about the psychoanalyst, more specifically Carl Jung. Boom. Let's do that. I gotta kill. I'm gonna kill both of these. Oh no. Yeah, let me kill that. Let me kill this. Boom. Alright, where's the video? Right here. Nah, start that shit over so they can see. I was just about to start vibing and say, fuck that shit. Oh shit. There we go. Verity ET, what up, Aaron? Sound like you got drunk from about my meeting last night. Well, happy birthday, bro. Yeah, that must have been what it was, man. My old ass. I have to reevaluate my limits. All right, Joe, let's jump into this real quick. Take a listen.
And let your mind wander. Jung did a lot of this too.
Yes.
He did a lot of purposeful fantasizing, right? He just let his, that's a contradiction in terms. He let his mind wander. He would have discussions with the characters of his imagination, for example. It's very hallucinogenic in some real sense. But you can imagine there's a hierarchy of goals.
Yeah.
And you move from a unity at the top of the hierarchy to a plurality.
Yes.
At any given moment when you're focusing your attention, you're using the center focus of your attention as the main source of unity, and that's reducing everything to an a priori set of perceptions and principles. But then you let that go. Well, now you have these diverse networks in your brain that they all have a slightly different way of looking at the same situation.
Exactly.
And you can let them have an internal dialogue, essentially.
Yeah.
And some of those, one of the things the psychoanalysts pointed out is some of those can be id-like.
Thank you. Thank you. At least a woman told me. I was going off. Yeah. This is what I was talking about with the id. Okay. People you'll know what the ego is, and they'll quite readily say, ego this, ego that, my ego this, but have no conception of the framework from which this comes from. Okay, the id is part of the framework that the idea of the ego comes from. Me personally, if you're asking me, I call these frameworks like these pantheons in and of themselves. Okay, because remember, what is a deity? It's a non-physical being. All right, it's something that has being that exists non-physically. It's as simple as that. Okay. These pantheons work together in framework. There's a dynamic that's involved in how they work. But the id, let's talk about the id for a second. The id is the impulsive and unconscious part of the psyche that responds directly to basic urges, needs, and desires. Part of Sigmund Freud's structure of the psyche. This is what I talk about. The psyche. Okay, the direction of the psyche. Well, not the direction, but the direction. Psychology is the direction you want to go towards. Not because we're talking about the brain. This is part of the reason I wanted to show this, because these things will be evident in the structure of the brain. Why? Because the brain is more of an antenna. It's picking something up. It's not generating the things. Okay, it's not generating the thoughts. It can generate impulses, most certainly, and the structure that's involved is quite complex. But at the end of the day, it's still flesh. Okay, even at the beginning of the day, it's still flesh. Beginning and end of the day, it's flesh. Even at noon, it's flesh. It's flesh. It's flesh. Okay, it's not the thing that's making stuff up. Because if that's the argument you're making, then all of this stuff that you're proclaiming is an after effect of the brain could not have existed before brains. And so you put the what's the word? You put the not necessarily limit, not necessarily check. Damn it, what's the word? You put the emphasis or the line drawn for specificity on the necessary evolution of physical structures, and you make the physical structures the premises. This is part of the reason you can't reduce these spiritual things to physical realities, because the physical reality is a completely different thing. It's of a completely different nature. It may be from that non-physical thing, like you can't reduce a video game. A video game, it's nowhere near the same place as the place that generated it. Okay, but it has its own laws, own relationships, but you can't reduce things from this world down to the video game and say you broke it down. But that's what people are doing. Okay, anyways, the psyche, this is what I talk to you about. Okay, this is what I talk to you about. The psyche as a whole, you could probably consider the self, but there's so much in that you can't just say the word. All right, most times people are talking ego, they're talking personal pride. The id is part of the structure of the psyche. Okay, ego is part of the structure of the psyche. Okay, these things are part of a dynamic and a system. So it's not just a word you can say to replace pride, even though you can, but you'd be inaccurate. Continuing. And the music hit, I know.
So imagine, for example, that you're angry at someone. And so you allow yourself to notice the fantasies that you're generating as a consequence of the anger, right? And you'll see maybe you have a very violent fantasy and something that's highly aggressive. Well, you're being informed that part of your category system has that vengefulness, say, as a goal, and that actually might be relevant in some sense if you could figure out how to integrate that id-related goal to a higher set of principles, right? You don't want to produce absolute bloody mayhem because that doesn't iterate well across instances, but that doesn't mean you should ignore the input of these subsidiary systems.
The brain is picking stuff up, okay? It's designed to respond to, for all intents and purposes, the psyche, okay? It's designed to respond to the psyche. What he's talking about here, like, when we're talking about the psyche, okay, there's a structure to it. There are dynamics that are involved. It's not just there's an objective thing somewhere, and once I do this thing, then other things unlock. It's like, no. Remember, it's only you. I'm everything. I'm all these gods. I'm all these books. Okay, but in that direction, when it's actually all you, it's you that's in your own way. It's you that's separating you from the things you say you want. And not just you in terms of the personality. See, that's part of the trip up. And when you agree to the idea of you, you always reduce it down to that. And that's your fault. That's no one else's fault. I was looking for a fucking picture that I made on fucking, what is this thing called? Canva. Was this it? I don't think this was it. No, yeah, I knew that wasn't it. Piece of shit. The point of it, though, is I was going to use it as a diagram to try and show you some things here today, and so I'm going to be looking for it. I do not understand how the fuck I lost this picture, but this is the second part. So I want to get into the practicality of these things, okay? And how I'm going to do it is we're going to walk through part of an interview that I did with somebody. I haven't worked with this person before, but he has apparently watched some of my stuff. And I think he had an experience that a lot of you listening can relate to. Yeah, most certainly. And so, where the fuck did I... This is really bothering me. Because I was ready with this fucking picture, and I do not know where I put it now. Talk about your pieces of shit, right? All right, so I'm going to try and divide this into 3 steps when I explain it to you, okay? Because with Jordan, he was just talking about the psychoanalyst going into the idea of having discussions, having narratives, having dialogues between the different characters of the imagination, okay? It's very common to hear people say, you know, my imagination, my everything, fucking nihilistic narcissist. Whose imagination is it? Whose imagination is what I say? Because once again, it's not the brains. The brain's picking it up. It's not the brains. We won't get into it today, though. Where did I put that picture? I'm going to show you this video. Hey, here we go. I'm going to find the picture.
But here's the question, though, bro. Yeah. Because I can most certainly help you. But you have to be willing to give up a lot of what you thought you are, because this is the thing. Like I said, it's when I say it's your ontology, it's the basic things in your presuppositions about the reality, the basic things that you tell yourself exist and don't exist, and that you use to frame the world. And those things are what's been messed up, because they're framed based on the old person you've been, and so now you're introducing yourself to another thing, and see, with you're gonna have to give up your idea of what you think this is supposed to be, because just like you saying, like old boy getting shot in front of you, you knew it was coming. Yeah, ain't nothing you could do to stop it, because this thing is already set. But because you so ingrained and attached to it, you can't see the forest for the trees, like I was saying. And so what you got to do is get a bird's eye view and sit in that position of that ball of light old boy showed you. And not just sit there, because that's what a lot of niggas do, just spooky Buddha shit. I'm not saying just sit there, but you need to become as intimate with yourself at that level as you are with this self. Like what's your name?
They call me Zip, but
Zip.
My birth name is Tyson.
I'll call you Zip, because I'll be they too. I don't mind it, bro. So look, to the degree to which you know all of Zip's history, you know what he like, how he do what he do, why he wear what he wear, you know all the terrible shit about him, all the secrets, you know all that shit. To the degree to which you know yourself as Zip, you need to be able to know yourself as that. At the very least, a name, some imagery, some definition, something you can grasp. You feel me?
No, I feel you, my nigga.
Yeah, because and trust me, this ain't some shit. You know, I give you the magic secret to do. You go do it, and you good for the next 7 to 10 years. No,
yeah,
like this is like welcome to the game, my nigga. Yeah. That's all I can tell you. Welcome to the game.
Shit ain't no. I didn't stop. Oh my mama! I swear to God, this is bullshit.
Okay, I found the picture. Okay. So, step one, in getting this practical, okay? There are a lot of people who are familiar with meditating, right? Generally, you're instructed to sit, focus on your breath, kind of tune into a oneness or a nothingness. Virtually the same thing, really. And you're encouraged to do it for extended periods of time. It's a good warm up for letting your awareness drift away from your physical reality. It's a good warm up because that's really what you want to be able to do. All right, you make the claim the physical world is an illusion. You make the claim I'm not my body. I'm more than this. Okay, well you have to get into the habit or into the skill rather of allowing yourself to at first drift away from the physical and then eventually be able to turn yourself away. Now this is by no means an endeavor to escape the experience of physical reality. There's no instance where you're gonna come up and you're not experiencing physical life anymore. Like some people will talk to me and they'll be like, I can't tell if I'm doing it right because I can still sense my physical body. You're supposed to. It's not about whether or not you can sense your physical body. It's about how focused you are on what has your attention. Okay, you can sit and watch a movie and you get into that movie and the whole room disappears. You don't know when it happens. You don't even recognize it's happening, but you're in that movie. You're there. You're focused. Something gotta happen every now and then, and it'll shake you out. Like, oh shit, it's crazy. Or somebody will, whatever. But anyways, it's your focus. All right, daydreaming, for example. Because once again, we're gonna get into it. Whose fucking imagination is it? Daydreaming. While you're driving, maybe you're driving down the road. You've been down it 100 times, and you zone out. Your attention drifts away from the physical world. Okay, you want to be able to invoke that on your own. That's the first skill. And it gets easier as you learn to do it, and it gets exponentially easier when you start to get your jurisdictions right. Okay, it gets exponentially easier when you start to get your jurisdiction right. Okay, let me pull this up here. Now I put all this shit in the wrong fucking folder, which was my issue. Is it this one? I'll do this one. I'll do this one first. Okay. Bazoom. All right. I started these up. I was really happy about doing this. This is fun for me. All right. I've spoken to you at length about the three densities of reality. Okay, the three densities of existence. I like to say reality, but you can say existence either way because people have hang-ups about what makes something real, and there's questions to be asked about it. But anyways, continuing. So you have the three different densities of reality. You have the primordial, the non-physical, and the physical. Okay. This is reality at large. Remember, your cultures and religions answered three questions for you. What is reality at large? What is the self within context of that? And what is the connection between the two? Okay. Generally, I like to think of it as a what is the self, what is divinity, and what is the connection between self and divinity? Because reality at large would be, in some sense, be divine in comparison to the experience of the self in context. But either way, the more important part is the dynamic that's involved. Okay, the relationship, reality at large, the self within the context of that, and the connection between the two. Because answering all three of those questions tells you what the world is, tells you what you are, and tells you what you should be doing. Because most people are trying to figure out what they should be doing. They can just say, I'm going to do whatever I want to, and then they dive into pleasure. And that's not a bad thing. It's not awful. It can go how it goes. But it's not about just doing whatever comes impulsively, because a fucking dog can do that, a chimp can do that. You know, you want to get into this godly and divine, and it's not a morality thing. It's a focus, it's an attention thing, it's a noticing thing. Okay, like I've said before, the process of quote unquote enlightenment or unfolding, it's a process of noticing. You begin to notice in ways, and you begin to notice things and in ways that you've never done before. And that's what's changing. It's you, not the world. Oh, bro, the symbolism's everywhere now. No, it's the same world. It's the same world. It's you that changed. And see, when you can get into how the structure of the psyche, how this you that's at the center of everything, how this you is structured, you have a language for it, then these things become more palatable for you. Okay, they become more of your natural day-to-day life. Okay, because you have to understand, this is part of the reason I make such a big distinction between the body and the personality, and how you're neither. Because even if the personality, it's based on the idea of everything you've agreed to. So you don't have to go far to find all your agreements. That personality is the sum total of them. But here's the thing about the personality, is that it's a thing that light of the awareness is looking at. Okay, it's a thing in the light of that awareness. And so you're only seeing part of it based on how you have that light approaching it, how you're choosing to view yourself, how you're allowing to view yourself. Okay, so look, reality at large, okay? This is reality at large. I'll give you reality in context. Hey, man, switch my thing. Here we go. Boom. Keeps it very simple, right? Okay. You have the primordial realm, where the vessel for the reality at large is primordial. Self in context is soul. Reality at large is spirit. Self in context. Reality at large is non-physical. Self in context is spirit. Excuse me. Reality at large is physical. Self in context is body. Okay. You exist in all three at the same time. And once again, because I'm not going to tell you the words don't matter, because they do. Okay? The words do matter. What I will tell you is that if you understand the dynamic between the points that I'm giving you, because I could name these whatever, I could essentially name these whatever I wanted to. I could say this is Subsham, Chip Chop, and Pop, and then go on to explain it to you that way. But what happens when you do that with people is that they think that they're learning about some new thing they've never learned about before. And that's not the case. The things I'm talking to you about aren't some new thing out there. They're the thing that's been in your pocket the whole time. It's at the center of this idea of you. And because nothing else has any meaning, that you is very dense. It's very dense. And if all you really got is personality and some aloof idea of maybe what you think this is, because this is what people like to do. They go from physical life to infinite everything all, and that's it. They go, God, this is fucking philosophy, people. Descartes made this shit explicit how you cannot have a dual system like that, because it's what's the word? Irreconcilable. It's irreconcilable. You're gonna go all the way back. You're always gonna get stuck at the mind-body problem. You're always gonna get. That's why the universe A and B thing is incomplete. Okay, this is why just thinking about physical life and then just infinite everything, nothingness, and that's all you got. It's an incomplete system because you don't have a third aspect that brings them together. There's the first two aspects: reality at large, reality in context. Okay. Let me give you the third aspect. This is the self and participation. Okay. And this part of the what the fuck is it? Is it right there? Is it right there? But where did I put the other ones? Because I feel like I did a lot more than that. Okay. I got 2 more steps in here, but I want to lay down some of the foundation of what I'm talking about here, okay? Because I didn't just use a tree for no reason, mystifying it with a spooky name. Exactly, but I can hit y'all niggas with a spooky name or some name in Sanskrit that niggas ain't said in like 5,000 years. Like, you be like, oh shit, this is the real thing. If a nigga, see, a nigga don't really know the names. If they knew the name, they know that the resonance and the sound of your voice vibrates all your chakras in a specific way that has your DNA rectify and coagulate with the cell biology and the melanin specifically. That was delicious. All right, what are we talking about? In terms of reality at large, people have a tendency to anthropomorphize it, okay? For example, people will take the idea of the Most High, and the Most High becomes this humanish thing. It has feelings, it has thoughts, it has desires, it has things it needs to learn. Let's call it anthropomorphizing it, okay? In terms of describing reality at large, I would say it's considerably mechanistic. Okay, like for example, does the fruit from a tree want to fall to the earth? Because we'd anthropomorphize this idea of souls coming to earth as this intimate drama, this narrative with emotion. Like, think about leaves falling from a tree. Is this a want? Is this some desire, some anthropomorphized thing? It's mechanistic. It's part of an unending cycle. Okay? See, the ends of reality, the ends of existence is to be unending. There's no other end. Because reality at large is a canvas. It's a fabric. It's a blank slate. You know, you're looking for what are the rules for existence in life. Essentially, there are none. But that doesn't mean no rules matter. Because see, the rules that matter aren't rules that are intrinsically out there. They're rules that you've been setting up. And you say, well, I'm going to just go set up some new rules. It's easy as that. Thanks a lot, Arius. No. Wrong. This is where the shadow work comes in. That personality thing you've been dragging around. You can say, okay, look, I'm Cliff. I'm the new god out here. And niggas don't know about me. Okay, you still got to deal with Brandon. Because to the degree to which you're still Brandon, you're not Cliff. You're not Cliff. And this is part of what I was talking about with him in the step 1 clip right there. Is as intimate as you are with yourself as Brandon, you know his whole story. You know all the hidden secret apocrypha. You know the Dead Sea Scrolls of Brandon, nigga. You're an expert on this motherfucker. So much so you can't even muster any kind of compassion for the nigga like you could for somebody else. Because you can't even see the motherfucker as innocent in any way. Because you know everything. You got to be as intimate with the idea of knowing yourself as Brandon like that. Because you already got Brandon like that. But when it comes to the Cliff, I don't have Brandon and Cliff on here. God damn it. Where's the other one? Where did I put that other fucking image? Is it this one? Or was this one? No, that's just showing you the picture. And I could have showed you that one before I put this one on here. I really could have. Damn, man, where the fuck did I put that fucking picture? Alright, I'm a loser. Anyways. Okay. Let me explain some of this. Can I do this with my mouse? Where you can see my mouse? I don't think I can. Alright, I wish I could. Anyways, I'm going to continue. So Brandon is a player hater. He's going to catch you in the lie. Now, Brandon is a personality. Brandon is the personality, right? Like let's say your name is, that's what I'm saying. I don't know what your nigga's name is. Like Dawson, okay? Dawson is the personality. Alright, it's the sum total of the agreement you've made with the idea of yourself as the physical body. Alright, it's what you've created. You got to catch Brandon in, so you know it's not you Brandon out. But then what is you? This is what we get into today. Because I wouldn't disagree with that. And it is a little bit humorous. But what is you? And that's what everything in that sentence drains down to the whatever you is makes all the difference here. And that's what we want to get into, okay? So we're talking about reality and at large reality, the self in context, okay? So, seeds falling from a tree, it isn't some grand, intimate, emotional narrative. It's very mechanistic, okay? All right, so that's how we're going to think about, in these examples, the idea of soul, okay? The soul, it basically falls from the highest to the lowest, all right? It falls from the canopy down to the lowest, the densest earth, okay? It's stripped of everything it used to be and has to start over completely, okay? Like, think about it like this. The fruit falls from the canopy, right? And so it's no longer part of the upper parts of the tree. It's no longer part of the tree anymore. And it falls through the air, this middle point, this am part, okay? I told you before, in primordial sense, ego is am. You got I and am, okay? Now you have I in two senses. You have I as the tree as a whole, okay? Which is the all. I is the tree as a whole. When I'm saying tree, I'm not necessarily talking about the Kabbalistic tree. So you could make that analogy, but because I'm someone who deals in the clip-offic stuff, I would look at the analogy completely different, like the 90-degree angle. But anyways, that's going to get me going somewhere else. So I want to stick to this. But just so that you're aware, I'm not necessarily invoking the Kabbalistic tree here at all. I'm invoking a tree. Like the idea, just the archetype of a tree, because everyone's familiar with that, okay? So there's two senses of I when we're talking about primordial, okay? You have I as the tree itself, okay? The fruit begins as a piece of the tree, all right? Its whole identity as it begins to unfold on part of the tree is that it's part of the tree. Like a child when it's born, it takes a while for it to really comprehend it's not part of its mother. You know, the separation from its mother gives it anxiety like that. You know, so anyways, that's what you're dealing with here. Okay, so the I in the sense of the tree as a whole, the fruit is still on the tree. It's part of I, in the sense of the all. But now when we're talking about I in an individualized sense, you have a piece of the tree that's separate. Okay, and the process of separating it, making it this individualized I, is what you would call soul, okay? So we have reality at large, the fabric, and a piece of that fabric, all right, is separated. And when it's separated, the empty space around it is which it goes through, which it goes down. You can't see me pointing at it, fuck me. The empty space which it goes down. What, can I do this? Hold on. I might be able to fucking copy this onto the other screen. Hold on, can I do it? Hey, check me out though. You were right there, son. All right, anyways. So, you're looking up here at right up here. You're looking up here at the top, right? You got this other EYE, which people love to do. EYE instead of putting, just typing the one letter. Anyways. That sense is the same. It's the same. The nature and substance of the I is the same. Well, no, the substance of could you say the nature and substance of it is the same? At this point, it is. At this point, it is. Okay. So we're talking. You have the whole loop there, the whole pathway. We'll discuss it. But at the very beginning, at the initiating aspect of this, they're of the same essence and nature. Excuse me. And the falling process is the separation, the division, the am of I am. This is illusion. This is ego. This is the beginning of it, and it's necessary. It's necessary. It's a part of the separating process. Okay. So the am takes you. Can you? I don't have to use. Oh, what if I can? And so the am takes you through the spiritual, right? All right. That's like this piece of fruit. It's in the air. Or even when it sits on the ground at the bottom, at the very lowest, it's still in the air. It's subject to everything in the air. So it's breaking down from what it used to be. All right, now it's available to bacteria, fungus, animals. Some bugs and birds and dogs and shit. All that stuff's available to it because all that has to die away. All that has to die away to really root in to the earth. Okay, so that's it. This is going to be your childhood. Well, you could liken it to childhood trauma, but once again, it's necessary. All right, you come up with your parents, and your parents will tell, "Hey, get off the couch. Hey, don't spit in the food. Are you slapping that dog? Stop that." All the terrible, evil, ridiculous, primordial shit you want to do that you have to have conditioned out of you in order to develop a functioning personality, because you need a functioning personality to work the hardware. All right, and this hardware, it's biological, it's social, it's communal, it has things it needs to be doing. Okay, it's a whole different ballgame. So you go through that, you go through your whole childhood trauma, everything you thought you knew, and it's necessary. It's not if only my parents hadn't do. No, it's part of the whole mechanism. It's a mechanistic process. Anyways, all that old stuff is stripped away, and you begin to root yourself in this new place that you found yourself in. Okay, you root yourself into the narrative that's already going on. See down here at the bottom, can you see? I don't know how to do it this way. Down here at the bottom, there's two arrows, okay? That orange arrow is connected to the pathway or the narrative of the green arrow, okay? This black arrow all the way down here at the bottom, this one, this is the narrative of the physical world. This is the narrative of the game, the story that's going on in the video game. This is the narrative where Peach has been stolen by Bowser, and Mario got to call up Luigi so they can go do something. All right, that's this narrative. This is Brandon's world. Okay, well, Brandon's body's world. Excuse me. And that's the distinction. Okay, that's the distinction, because that arrow there, the orange arrow, the orange arrow is the addition of all this Brandon stuff. Okay, from the beginning to the end of Brandon's life, Brandon's association with that narrative of the physical world. Why is that primordial? Is it because the process starts from the initial fall? Yeah, it starts from the primary. That's part of what that density of reality is, or that part of the tree is. It gives off the initiatory thing, the thing that's going to start something new. Okay, so yeah, and that goes back into the triple blackness of space. I haven't done a lecture on that during the show yet. I had videos on it. But that goes into the structure and the dynamic present with unexpressed within the triple blackness of space. That actually gives you the Trinity I was talking about. That gives you the whole creation process. So I'm skimming over that to make this general, but yes, that's part of why you call it primordial. But once again, you can call it whatever you want, but that's why I use the word primordial specifically. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, so let's say because there is no name, there's nothing after the am until you start this whole Brandon thing. All right, that's the orange part of the pathway. Not even the fall, the creation of the tree. Then. This is how I'm going to say this. My use of the tree is representational. It's to represent an idea that's already present. It's a symbol. The thing about the creation of the tree, that once again, this is the conversation about the triple blackness of space, which is why I think it's a very important conversation, which is why I emphasize the Trinity so much the way I do, because the dynamics of the Trinity are what's present, although unexpressed, in the triple blackness of space. And so it's a question of reality at large, okay? Because when I'm telling you three densities, I'm not telling you as in places, okay? These aren't different places that you could be. Like, for example, and I've used this analogy before. When we're talking about the primordial, think about it as empty space with an X, Y, and Z axis in it. Okay, think of empty space with an X, Y, and Z axis. There's your triple blackness of space, okay? That's your primordial realm, that empty space. If you then put a sphere at the center of that X, Y, and Z axis, right? You can put a sphere there, all right? And now the sphere is within the space. This is what I would say is the non-physical world or the spiritual world, okay? It's that sphere within that empty space. Now, in order to get the physical, you want to nest a square into the sphere, okay? So where you have the corners of, not a square, a cube, excuse me, where you have the points of the cube sticking out. It should be 8 points sticking out, 8 corners sticking out of the body of the sphere, all right? A sphere and a cube nest together at a ratio of 9:8. So when the circumference, there we go, when the circumference, the diameter, excuse me, when the diameter of the circle is, let's say 9 of some unit, and the sides of the square are 8 of that same unit, the two will nest together perfectly, okay? But the reason I say this, because that's going to be your physical realm, okay? So you have your primordial, which is the empty space, the non-physical, or the spiritual, which is the sphere, and the cube, which is the earth, or the physical world. Not the planet Earth, but all of the physical world, all of Malkuth, okay? Now I can point to a point within this three-dimensional diagram where I'm inside of the cube, inside of the sphere, and inside of the empty space at the same time. And it's not because it's a special location. All right, this isn't something you have to go somewhere to do, or there's something that came from somewhere and ended up here. Those concepts are physical, they're spatial concepts. Okay? Primordial is there is no spatiality, there is no temporality yet. Those things are outgrowths. Okay? So when we're getting to the process of because okay, thinking about like the question of the beginning of the tree, that's something that it usually would have been, instead of having metaphysical question about it in discussion, that's where they would have had a narrative in a beginning, like in the beginning of the Bible, or a creation myth. All right, that's usually the realm in which you would have gone that way. So I mean, I would say the tree has it's not created simply because of the dynamics that exist within the triple blackness of space, because creation is an outgrowth of that. And so there's no point in which it's created, which is part of the emphasis of divinity, But anyways, if I didn't answer your question or if something's still unclear, please let me know. But the biggest thing is that creation is an outgrowth of the tree, and so there wouldn't be any grounds or standing or jurisdiction for the tree to be created, because in a sense it's not really a tree. A tree is how it's being represented. But yeah, this thing we're talking about representing with the tree, there is no place, there is no grounds for it to be created, because creation is something that it creates or it gives off. It's because you mean, to what degree does a tree create fruit? Like a woman has a baby in her body. To what degree does she create it? Does she decide how many fingers and toes it's got? Where the organ's gonna go? No, the bitch shows up. You're not really creating it. Okay, and to the same respect, I wouldn't necessarily say the tree is creating this. It's just an outgrowth. It's a mechanical process. And you see, this is the thing. Most times when people are thinking soul, they only want to attribute it to a single individual Homo sapiens expression. But because this part in the middle here, the spiritual part, is mostly a land of archetypes, and that's so crucial. And understanding archetypes is so crucial to navigating any of that shit. Because people have the tendency to think of these things as single individual beings. And it don't work like that, because you've misinterpreted the body. Not only in its structure, but in its expression. In its expression, this is a linear space-time continuum where we're experiencing time in a forward and linear fashion. But there are at least 6 other directions of time that can be traversed. You got forward, right? Then you have backward. If you have forward and backward, you have the left and right. We're talking parallel universes. Okay, where in the sense, if it's parallel, if it's true parallel, it's going to be an exact copy of it. So you have that infinite parallel of exact copies of any and every space-time continuum. Then you have the up and down, which is going to be the alternative. And honestly, unless it's true alternative or true parallel, you're going to have some type of some bit of wobble, some bit of mixation of the two, a little bit parallel and a little alternative. But anyway, alternative is variations of that same instance. Okay, so maybe it's an instance where the water bottle is red as opposed to blue, and there are infinitely many winds of those. Like the Earth, the physical world, Malkuth, is dense. It's like a cord or copper insulated wire, right? You got the big collection of these intertwined strands, and each of these intertwined strands is composed of smaller intertwined strands and smaller intertwined strands, making the one strand. And then you have the rubber insulation on it, which is what you people call quantum. That's the rubber insulation. It's still part of Malkuth. But anyways, where was I going with that? Misinterpreting the body, how the body works. Okay, so the body is not just a singular thing. We'll treat it that way in terms of the human narrative. You'll treat it like that. You'll just treat it as if it's you and not really give any thought to it. So the details, once again, these are things that have always been there, that are always doing, okay? This orange part of the diagram, this orange arrow, this is Brandon. This is the creation, the idea of Brandon that you live through, you invest in. You root yourself into the physical world narrative. And as a result of that, create this Brandon shit. So it sounds, the thoughts are archetypes / pantheons unto themselves. Yeah, yes, the unfolding. It unfolds down from what you would call, like in Christianity, they have Christ, which would be the original soul, so to speak. The soul as opposed to a soul. And from that, you get the various archetypes unfolding, all the way to the most dense representation, which is a collection of all of them together, which makes up the physical world. Where you take all these infinitely many archetypes and condense it. That's Malkuth. That's Earth. That's the kingdom. Only reason I wouldn't say thought is because thought generally gets attached to the idea of the brain. I'd say it's more a mechanism of psyche, but that's the only thing. It just gets usually just attached to the idea that the brain is the central component of the whole thing going on. So yeah, where's what he said? You got to catch brandoning, so you know it's not you brandoning out. God damn it! Where did I put that other fucking picture? Maybe I still have it right here, and I cannot be a loser, right? No, sir, you'll never be a loser. That's you. Fuck. I know I made this picture too, because I was excited. I remember the emotional significance, and now I can't find it. Damn, man. That is crazy. I wish I could see my recently downloaded stuff. Or I can go here maybe and it'll find it. I made that shit like a few days ago though. Damn, man. Here, let me try this. Cause I really want to show y'all the other picture, because I got the Brandon and the Cliff shit on there, and that gets into more of the practical stuff. But anyways, so what we've been talking about here is you have to have some type of a framework, because a lot of times people don't have an ontology or epistemology to what they're talking about when they're telling you stuff. They just have a collection of different words, and they don't have a way in which all of it fits together. You know, they just say it's all connected and that's enough. But like, okay, well, how is it connected? Like what are the details to that? Well, you just gotta go within. Nah, bro, chill out. Okay, there's the fall of oranges. Where's this? Let me look at this. Click this. Why don't I see the other ones then? Here's the narrative tree. What is going on? I'm sorry, man. I really don't have it. I could have sworn I fucking did this shit. This is what I'ma do. Oh, I'm the realest nigga ever, bro. This is what I'm about to do. This is what I'm about to do right now. And then I'll just be able to share the screen as I edit the shit. Okay, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna jump into part 2 of the video. Okay, so you can jump on that. And while you're doing that, I am gonna set up this so I can break it down a little bit to you more using the same diagram. I like to stay consistent with my diagrams. The other diagram I usually use was in the Self-Deification 101 video. I go over that in the boot camp. Like, this is the stuff we talk about in the boot camp. The practical side of it. How to take this and make it relatable. Okay? Where's the next thing I was gonna... Oh, it's in the other folder. Okay, here we go. Here's the next video for y'all. Check this out.
It's in the direction of Cliff. It's in the direction of what you mean when you say I. What you agree with, what you frame with, what you grasp when you say myself. Because what you grasp when you say myself is what's framing that. Regardless of whether or not you skim over it when you say things. Regardless of what, because it's not about what you say. It's about what you believe, what you think, how you frame your reality. The direction of go within has nothing to do with anything that's particulate matter. It's no quantum realm, anything magnetos. It's none of that stuff. It has nothing to do with that. It is the what you mean when you say I. Because Cliff is. I'm telling you, bro. It's you at the door, and I love it. I love having your first little pop. I love it, but there's so much more beyond that, and this is why I say worry about Zip's pride, because Zip will have you thinking you at the upper room.
The upper room.
And really, this shit ain't the upper room, right? He'll have Zip be feeling so good about Zip that he'll think that all this shit is just Gucci. I'm in the upper room now, but really, that ain't even the game, bro. Zip ain't even the game, because when you start to really get into Cliff, it's a whole other thing you've been doing, and this whole Zip thing is a side quest. And it's not saying, get rid of Zip and ignore Zip. No, Zip has to be cultivated because you got to live with the physical body. Zip is like the software and the body is like the hardware. You got to deal with that. That's going to be here. Yeah. But it helps you frame. It's helped you so far to frame your reality. To make a self. But the thing is, the self you've made so far is just the thing that you can use for this game. The self you need is something else. And people will say, "Oh, you got to just tap into your spirit body." But that doesn't mean anything because you don't have anything you can grasp with that. And so with Cliff, you need details. You need to know yourself as Cliff the same way you know yourself as Zip. You need to know where he's been, what he's done, what it's like to be him. What does he do? Why does he do it? As you uncover those things about yourself as Cliff, you'll be able to grasp it more. You can call it an etherical body if you want to, because I don't know. I just call it your spirit. I just call it spirit. Because the thing you're really trying to get to, because even that shit's illusionary. The thing you're really trying to get to is that I, the thing that's the center part of your perception, the light of your awareness. Because because once you can get Cliff situated, that stuff will be obvious, and that's the real game. That's the real game.
Yup. Okay. I should be able to do this now. Let's switch up the window capture. Yeah. Boom. Alright, here, let me close this thing on the side. Boom. Okay. So, I want to tie this back into the practical stuff, okay? But let me finish out the explanation of what we're looking at, so that I can tell you, because I got so many different diagrams for this shit. Anyways, the orange lines, okay, and you can see the mouse. Fuck yes, these orange lines here. I don't want it to keep doing that. Do this. There we go. These orange lines here, okay. This is the idea of Brandon. Brandon's body is in all this stuff. It's part of the lowest part, okay? With the orange lines here, I'll even move this up, because that'll probably be a better idea. Let me unlock. So you're gonna be a dick. Unlock the page. Oh, okay. Duh. Anyways. Alright, so I'll move this part here to where it makes a little more sense, okay? Right there. Alright. That's more so what's going on. And it's informed by your experience of the physical world, man. What the hell you doing live at this time? What you mean what I'm doing? I'm doing the real nigga shit nobody else doing. What? What? I'm just messing with you. Yeah. Okay, so look. Remember, because I tell you, what's the trick to leaving the physical world and never coming back? It's very simple. You're never here to begin with. So what is you? When I say you're never here to begin with, your body is most certainly here, but that is not the you you're talking about when you say, I'm leaving and never coming back. Because the body don't do that. The body stays here forever. The brain stays here forever. That's why I say your brain is more your enemy than anything, because that motherfucker know it ain't getting out. Shit, always watching you. I thought it was 8 a.m. I see you though. No, I was, but I was terribly hungover. Not terribly, just more hungover than I like to give myself credit for. After some throwing up, resting, things like that, I can keep stuff down. Give me some water. I'm chilling, but I want to do this episode, so that's why I'm here. And this is part 2. Okay, so we need to get this down. Your personality, okay? That's it's a conception of you. It is not you. I can cut off your body's arm, its leg. It's not going to change what your personality is. Okay? What your personality is something that's non-physical. You attribute it, its creation has been attributed to your physical body because you're tracking it. You know, you're tracking the physical world and using that to create Brandon. Okay, so this is what people say when they say I talk to Oshun, da 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 da. You know, it's Brandon that talked to Oshun. Okay, but Brandon I colored it orange because it's a collection of emotions, thoughts, agreements to the idea that what you are is that. And these are the things you have to go back through in shadow work. So how do you do it appropriately? You got to catch Brandon brandoning so you know it's not you brandoning out. This is where Cliff comes in. Okay? This is where Cliff comes in because it's easy to say you got to use your spirit body. Okay, how do you relate to that? It's like me telling you got to use your physical body. They didn't tell you how to relate to it. You relate to it through an experience, through a narrative. Okay, you need a narrative. You need that because narrative is context that things something exists in. Okay, you need an idea of yourself that's not rooted in all these other things. Not so that you can get rid of Brandon, but so that you can get a bird's eye view on Brandon, with no conflict of interest. Okay, that way you can catch Brandon brandoning so you know it's not you that's brandoning, okay? Because when you can start to know yourself as Cliff, the same way you can know yourself as Brandon and more, then it becomes real. Because why is yourself as Brandon so real? Why is it so real? You know all the tales, you know all the details, you know all of it. And you're intimately connected with that knowing. You need to develop that with Cliff. With yourself as Cliff. You can start with doing it as Cliff. I'm using Cliff as a generic name that I consistently use. I don't care what the name is. You care what the name is. And that's the important part. So because I can't tell you what it should be. You can tell me what it should be. You know, you learn these things from experiencing them, from engaging with them, from interacting with them, from not just collecting a bunch of information and going to tell a dead nigga, hey, look, bro, you don't get it. Christianity ain't real. Both of y'all niggas is wrong as fuck. Fuck you mean? Oh, word. Don't be drinking night before the live. I'm gonna have to take my belt off. And do what with it? Put it the fuck back on, nigga shit. I'm gonna take my belt off. Boy, trying to be everybody daddy. Nah, sir. In fact, just because you said I'm gonna drink for the next 7 nights in a row, I'm not gonna do that. I'm being facetious. I'm a dick. But nah, like I said, I got to reassess my limits. All right, so people like this, because I want you to take home some of the practicalities here. All right, I started out with talking about meditation. I'm talking about whose imagination this is. Okay, if we're gonna consider what you are, yourself essentially, you start with the I am. Okay, that seed, right? This seed is the beginning of a narrative beyond the inception of any Brandon stuff, okay? And so when you're letting go of all this Brandon association and reconnecting with this, that's a whole different identity. It's a whole different self, all right? And what'll happen is, with being attached to the Brandon shit, you won't know how to frame your reality other than reducing all those experiences to Brandon, okay? Because you end up reducing and framing everything. I don't know what happened. It's this and this and this and that. Like when people come back from psychedelics, they have a process called integration. All right, and what that's usually doing for people is because they've experienced some upper room type shit, and all they have is Brandon framing in order to understand it. They have to learn how to integrate all this stuff together so that they can continue living as a human properly. Okay. I think integration is rehumanization. But I understand the necessity for it because, like I said, most people don't spend their life doing these things. They do it because it's interesting over here, or I want to try this, I want to see what that's like. And so, they bite off more than they can chew. But if you're actually interested in doing this stuff, okay, you want to know yourself as Cliff at the very least. I'm not telling you Cliff is the end all be all, and I say it in the videos. I'm not telling you Cliff is the end all be all. Most certainly it's not, but it's the first step in letting go of what you say you're not going to be anymore. And you can't just let it go and then float away into infinite nothingness. Like I say, don't drown the self in reality at large. There's a purpose for it, okay? It's like all these seeds fall from the tree, and there's so many that never even properly root. You got some that properly root and grow terribly. Maybe they landed in an awful place, like on a sidewalk or some shit. You got trees getting smothered as they try to grow by layers and layers of decades of leaves, maybe. Okay, like of the many seeds that are scattered, only so few complete the process upon which they set out to begin with. And see, returning to source is just like, okay, well, I'm not even going to grow into a whole tree. I'm going to just dissolve and be nutrients for the tree. Okay, there's your return to source. You can say there is no up or down. There is only one, and there's only one. That's it. And then the seed just rots there, or it doesn't even activate. You see how they have like 100 years old seeds collected, and they're just still there, still viable seeds, but they just never open up, never unfold. That's why I say the middle path isn't doing anything, and the right hand path is it's just making yourself fertilizer, not fertilizing the consciousness for it to evolve. Upper echelon human. Yes, it's usually upper echelon human. When I say the right hand path, they instead of growing into a tree itself, which is what a seed is, generally supposed to do, they just dedicate themselves to feeding the roots of the tree as opposed to completing the work. Now, when you're talking left hand path, you're talking about completing the work. Okay, that's how the seed returns back to this state of being. Is it grows itself that large, so you don't go back through the tree. But anyway, so Cliff is something to start you out with, okay? It's something to get the gears turning, because once you can begin to embrace yourself as that, the same, even slightly the same ways you've embraced yourself as Brandon, you can look back at Brandon and begin to sort those things out. You can start to listen to the dialogues of all these different aspects of Brandon, as opposed to just being caught up in them and trying to live physical life. And it's just like, oh, what's that? What's going on? Where did I think this? Where did this come from? Why am I doing that? And you're just lost in the sauce. You're just caught up in the waves of your own emotions of all this Brandon shit, and you don't know how to step out of it. Cliff is the beginning of stepping out of it, okay? Because ultimately there's a whole tree to be unfolded. Now, most people will be just fine, becoming a small bush or a sapling, and that's cool. See, that's more meaning in life. And I have to get into to really talking about it, because that's what people are actually looking for. They're not looking for the metaphysics, Some of them would like to be able to say something certain, this and that in front of the bitches, but they're not actually interested in doing that. And that's okay. Yes, a lie. I'm talking about you. Fuck you talking about. You just want to do it for the bitches. Okay, so let's say you're doing your meditation, right? And the point of the meditation is to hold your focus in a single place and not be caught up in all the different things that go around. But in that same breath, I wouldn't suggest that you be caught up in a sense where you're not in control. I would say lean in and get caught up, engage these things, because there's so much right under the surface. So many people spend their time trying to do this as an endeavor to reject their experience of the physical world, but because they never engage in any of these things, they misunderstand the physical world. Yeah, what's going on? I can see in the chat. Yeah, they misunderstand the physical world and their relationship to it, and that's the issue. Your relationship to this shit is what's off. This place is perfect. It's all perfect. Your relationship to it, you choose that. That's your agreement. Your relationship to it is what's fucked up. And the biggest part of that is this narrative of Brandon you've created, this narrative of humanity that you've overlaid on top of what's already going on, so help you try and navigate it. It's faulty. And you know it's faulty, but you don't know what else to do. And that's what the beginning of these tools are. This is what you want, that non-physical conception of self. Because it's equally a conception of self. Brandon's a conception of self. It's not a physical thing. Brandon's body is a physical thing. So it's a conception of self and it's non-physical. But essentially it's non-physical. But I call it a physical conception of self because it's conception of yourself as that physical thing. All right, like when Neo was in the big blank space with Morpheus, and he's like, okay, what you have right now is residual self-image. You know, like, nigga, you think that's air you're breathing? But motherfuckers will be in here doing the meditation, doing the visualization, and they treating it like Neo treated that room, as if it's air he was breathing. You know, as if the same rules apply. But why do they do that? Because what is you? What are you agreeing to? What are the collections of agreements you come along with in shaping and framing the idea that you call you? And not just what you agree to. That's the stuff in the light. The parts that you are agreeing to that you don't want to admit you agree to. Okay? So you have to integrate all that to have a not only a balanced personality as Brandon, because that's going to make Brandon's shit more facilitated. It's going to afford Brandon more things, which is really what you niggas want. You know, you don't have to be ashamed of it. That's really what you want. You here because you want Brandon to have a better life specifically, and I get that, and it's not a bad thing. What I'm telling you is all the shit you're looking for is beyond Brandon, and it's right under the surface. Like you can talk to anybody I work with, bro. All the shit that it's right under the surface. It's so easy to access. It's so easy to access. It's the interpreting. It's the integration of that shit that's difficult because motherfuckers don't have the ontology. They don't have the words. They don't have the framing. They don't have the dynamics or the conceptions to navigate this stuff. And that's usually what I'm good at giving. See, I can give you the basics of this shit. It's easy. Anybody can do it. But most people aren't going to do it. Anyways, continuing. I'm gonna give the third video. And then I'm gonna round out this talking here. Where's the? Oh, it's right here. Okay. All right. So that's from that. Okay. Get rid of this one and pull up the third video. Appreciate y'all sticking around, man. We're gonna do this today.
I close my eyes again and I see this red door, and it felt like whenever I got close to it, it just went farther away from me type shit. And it said, if you go through this door, nigga, you gonna die. And I'm like, oh hell, you know, like, I'm freaking out. So that's why when you was talking about that door, like intuitional wise, I understand, but it feels like a part of me has to die before I even reach that door. You feel me?
You gotta learn to die before your body does. That's how I like to say it. Yeah. And look, this is the best advice I can give you in terms of something practical you can do.
Yeah.
Not physical. Okay. I know that you use the name Cliff as a placeholder, but you need to find out your name at least so you can begin something other than Zip. You feel me?
Yeah.
That's the first step. And when you find that name, be that. Don't play human. I'm not saying you gotta do it 24/7 all the time, everywhere. Nothing strenuous. But like let's say you decide, you get the name, and we know it's not Cliff, but let's say it's Cliff, right? And you say, okay, go back and do the Azazel thing, but do it as Cliff and not Zip.
Oh, I see what you're saying now. I get it. And
Yeah.
I don't lie, bro. Look at my face. It says Ram. And at the time, like, I don't know it. I know that's something. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't put it on my face for no reason. I know it's something. I don't want to speak out of turn, but something to do with the Ram. You feel me? Like, I kept seeing as the images at the Baphomet a lot before my spiritual awakening. And I didn't understand it, but I understand that's what I'm about to become. I'm about to become that. And
yeah, like
I remember,
like you were saying before, the thing has to have
like when in the dream world, Like, I don't
You
know.
said what?
Like, nobody really gets to see their face. I saw what I looked like. Nigga, I had horns. Like, nigga had horns, motherfucking gold jewelry on. Like, I was looking like that.
See, bro, you already got some context. You already got some context to grasp.
No.
Lean into that.
No cap.
Get a name. Yes, sir. Lean in, like when you start out with the meditation, bro, you're like, you know, you probably be in a dark space or whatever. Go wherever you want. Start wherever you want. Whatever comes natural. Move around, you know. See how you moving around. Like, nigga, if you moving like, nigga, look, hold, how am I moving, nigga? Do I got legs? Maybe I got wings, nigga. Maybe I'm just slithering, you know, whatever the fuck, nigga. But figure it out so you have a thing. You know, it's not to say it's gonna be the end all be all, but it's something as opposed to nothing. Because step from nothing to something is a lot, and it's significant, even if it's just something stupid. You know, so you got a little bit of context there. Get a name and lean into being that nigga.
All right, I want to talk about this because this gets back into the practical part of this. Okay, this non-physical conception of self, Cliff. First of all, it's not something I'm encouraging you to make sure you're doing it 24/7 all the time. You gotta do it like that, nigga. That's how I do. No, it's cap. It's cap. It's cap and it's a fallacy. It's backwards, okay? Look, what I'm proposing to you isn't some new thing you need to be doing. What I'm saying is you're doing this all the time, but you don't have names for it. You don't have words for it. You don't have a framework for it. You're always the motherfucker playing the game. There's no 24/7 I need you got to get done because you're already doing it 24/7. Your problem is how you're framing it. It's not that you aren't doing it enough. It's how you're doing it. It's what you're agreeing to when you do it. That's your issue. So it's not a new thing you need to go, oh man, I make sure I do this 24/7, nigga, all day, nigga, chaos. Nigga, no. 666, bitch. Niggas is funny, man. I gotta get off of Instagram. It's not something you gotta puff up and some new thing you gotta be. Look, the newness will unfold from it. What's most important is your honesty. See, you motherfuckers will say the whole heart of a child shit, like, right? It's the honesty. It's the honesty, bro. It's the real fucking honesty with yourself. You know, beyond you say the thing, you're like, man, I can't wait till the bitches see this. And then you hear it in you, but you kind of ignore it, like, nah, I don't really think that. Really, I'm trying to wake people up, and then when they see my thing, you know, nah. Come on, it was a little thing, it was there. You gotta be real about it. That little part where you wanted validation, you know, you just posted the beat because you wanted like if nobody heard it, you'd have felt bad about it. Oh man, it's little things. It's the honesty. And you see, when you're in the position of Cliff, it's easier to look at those aspects of Brandon. Because one, you're not pulled down by the conflict so much, because you can begin to be in the world but not of it. See, Brandon is in the world and of it. Brandon is in the world and of it. You can be in the world and not of it with Cliff. But it's not just simply saying I'm Cliff now. It's context. Like he was saying, he can see the face, he can see the horns, he can see the gold chains. That's a vibe there. That's the beginning of him. That's a direction he can go to begin uncovering the rest of the theology of Ram. Just like he got the theology of Zip. See, that's what I'm saying. You got all the theology of Brandon. You got all of it. You know that shit. And so you need to do a little bit of that with Cliff. Because I'm telling you, it's just the beginning. You first of all, you're going to be so much more effective than anyone else who does any of this shit. Because they're just using, well, like this is why I shunned away from the idea of saying etheric body or your spirit body, you know, because what you're doing there is invoking a framework that you don't have anything for. You're invoking a framework that doesn't exist. Like, or you're invoking a whole other framework with complexities and intricacies that make the thing more complicated. Usually like the whole etheric, emotional, mental, spiritual body. And it's like all that shit consistently reduces down to the physical body. It's like the same diagram I showed you with the self in context, but with extra steps. And I'm not telling you can't use extra steps. Use as many steps as you want, okay? But understand you're looking at a map, okay? When you look at the tree of life, you're looking at a map. You look at the chakras, you're looking at a map, not of the body, not of the body, of the self, the whole damn thing. God. You look, all these things, the zodiac, they're different maps of the same thing. But you don't want to confuse the map with the territory. Elias says Krishna. Krishna lived in the world, but not of it. You know, it's the whole Christ thing. Same difference. You really read the story of Krishna, bro. Because Krishna is an incarnation of Vishnu. And Krishna, when Vishnu incarnated as Krishna, you know, he went through the whole physical life. You know, he's the whole time he know I'm Vishnu. Really, I'm Vishnu, nigga. But he played the role. He played the game. He played in the world, but not of it. He let him, you know, spank him as a little kid, you know, play around with his shoe. This nigga out there in the water, in the woods with all the goat herders' daughters and shit, you know, doing what he do. Everybody love him, you know. So there were times where he would go Vishnu on motherfuckers or on the situation, but for the most part, play the role, play Krishna, but do it in the world, but not of it. You know that you're the motherfucker playing the video game and not the avatar in the game. And it's not as simple as just really feeling strongly about that. Because see, when I say that you know yourself as Brandon, that's not just a really strong feeling. Sure, it invokes really strong feelings, but that's not just a really strong feeling. There's intimacy, there's intricacy, there's detail to that, there's context, nuance, a lot of it, which makes it so difficult to just let go. And so that's the kind of shit you gotta have with Cliff. Even a little bit of it, because that's what allows you to grasp it. Remember I've said before, symbols are a handle for thought. You know, if you just think the only thing aside from physical life is infinite nothingness, is, oh, what I really am is everything. You can't grasp that. You can't identify as that. You can't be that. All you can do is conceptualize it. And so what I'm suggesting here is something you can grasp. How do you grasp yourself as Brandon? The context. The context. The context. This is why I tell you motherfuckers put the context on the shit. This is why I tell you gotta get the narrative. Because where's the image? Where's the image? Where's the image? That's a narrative. Beginning, middle, and end. You niggas love to say generator, operator, destroyer. You didn't know that, did you, dead nigga? It's a fucking narrative. Past, present, and future. Beginning, middle, and end. This whole Brandon shit is middle. But you playing it like it's the beginning of some shit. You playing it like this is where what you are starts. No. No. That's the issue. This whole Brandon narrative is the mid part of a longer narrative. And getting into the Cliff side of things is what's going to get you back in line with the larger narrative. See, the narrative you niggas are doing is the one all the way at the bottom. That's what Brandon wants to do. You see how that curved line goes all the way to that bottom arrow at the bottom? That's the physical world narrative. And you got Brandon overlaid on top of it. This idea of Brandon and humanity. What a childhood should be. The kind of man I want to grow into be. I don't do that. That's wrong. Unless it's secret shit. Then you go ahead and do your little secret shit, you know. But nobody knows about that but you, so it's okay. That whole narrative, it overlays itself over physical existence. And none of that shit is the point. Yeah, there's shit to do, but none of that is the point of the whole work. That's the thing. This is why I fuck with left-hand path, because you're finishing the work that was begun. Okay? Right-hand path, they come down, and instead of looping it, rooting themselves in, they say, I'm going to just return to source and may as well just be the dirt. Middle path, you find yourself down here at Earth, at the dirt, and you're like, you know what? There is no up, there's no down, there's no everything, there's no anything. You're just a dry out seed on the ground. No, nothing done. But I mean, from their perspective, you don't have to do anything. So the fact that you tell them nothing's been done is a compliment. I think it's a point that can be argued for. So I'm not going to say it's wrong, but it's not my cup of tea. Left-hand path, you go down, root in here, and then finish what was done. Finish what was started. That's the whole point. And you have to get yourself into the larger narrative in order to do that. Experience of being Brandon. That context. That's what allows you to grasp Brandon. That's why when a motherfucker say, hey man, what are you doing today? All you can think about is Brandon when that you is invoked. See, now your you can have more layers like it actually does. See, all the layers it has, you always reduce it to Brandon. And that's the problem. There are more layers to this thing. Because when I'm saying soul, spirit, and body, I'm not talking about different things that are, it's the same thing existing in different densities. Like if you're standing up in the pool, you got part of your feet are touching the bottom, your torso's in the water, and the upper part's in the air. It's the same body, but it's in different densities. It's the same thing. You heard of the Adam Kadmon. You know, you got the structure of the archetypal man. You know, you got to stand back up. I'll show you the perpendicular shit. Like I'm saying, bro, the cliff is just the beginning. Like dude was talking about in the video, the door, right? He can see the door, and he tried to get close to it to get further, etc., etc. And he knew that a part of himself had to die if he goes through that door. Yeah, but see, what is you? See, if you think what you is the body, that has something to do with the body, and now you're scared because what you think you all is. But part of Brandon has to die. The part of it that refuses to believe that there are other parts of it, that's got to die. And you'd be surprised how intimately connected these ideas of Brandon are to the rest of them. All this shit is interwoven. And so shadow work is the process of going through there and actually looking at having conversations with these niggas. Like, maybe this nigga got a point. You know, you got the Brandon in you that knows that you always musty, even though you didn't try all kind of different deodorant. You can't do nothing, so you go in public and you always wear an extra jacket, or you know, or some like a little car freshener things up under your arm, because you know you're a little musty. You don't want to tell nobody. That Brandon, have a conversation with the nigga. Maybe he got a point of view that you don't like to embrace. You know, the Brandon that really hates that bitch at work, and you know, but you don't like to think about that. Y'all don't want to get down into my lower self. It's fucking lower, higher self shit. That's what I'm saying. Like, what is yourself when you say lower and higher self? Because if all your lower self is Brandon, then how do you identify with your higher self? With nothing to grasp, how do you identify with it? Well, I'm just pure essence of light. Okay, well, of course, pure essence of light doesn't do anything wrong. It doesn't do anything right. It doesn't do anything. It's just pure essence of light. It's just pure energy. Like, there's nothing to grasp there. It doesn't mean anything. It's filler words. It's garbage. Detail, some nuance. See, the darkness is subtle. See, this shit down here, that's shadow and light. That's where you need to balance. Yeah, I'm not talking about your dark side and your light side. That's shadow shit. You balance shadow with light. Okay, shadow and light, that's the shit. That the darkness is a whole other thing. And it's subtle. It's very subtle. And if you can't start to pick up on the subtlety and nuance of your personality, who the fuck you think you are? You're going to pick up on the subtleties and nuance of reality at large. Please. You can't, all anything got to do is put you in front of you and you can't see past it. You can have all the secrets of the world right behind the bullshit you like to collect and call yourself. And you can't see through it. Fuck out of here. Fuck out of here. That's the shit you gotta balance. That's what shadow work is. And see, the reason shadow work is important is because to the degree to which you want to be Cliff, you gotta not be Brandon. And so you have to go back through there and get rid of the contracts you don't need. Get rid of them. Undo them. But you can't, it's not just about snipping and cutting and slaying and slashing and destroying. Even though those things are delicious, they're fun. It's a good exercise. But that's not what you're doing. As a thing is bound, so it is unbound. You can't get rid of it because that's not how you created it. And so you have to go in to figure out how you created this. That's shadow work. It's a fucking anchor on your ship. And you talk, okay, our ship is going to get off the water and we're going to float into the air. No, you're not. Not with all them anchors. Maybe you could do it with a couple anchors, but all the anchors you got right now? Fuck no. Who, me? No, I don't feel bad about anything. Lies. 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 I'm telling you. Everybody's got it. And you don't stop doing it. There's no point in life where you're going to stop engaging with the shadow. How? Why do I say that? Everything in the light casts a shadow. Everything in the light casts a shadow. You're not going to disengage from having to deal with shadow until you disengage with physical world. Period. Well, no, even then, no. No, as long as you continue to frame yourself in the physical world, because the non-physical world is equally as illusionary. And the only thing you're dealing with is something that's in the light of your awareness. The light of that eye. See, what you have to do is turn that eye, the light of the awareness, back on itself to where it's actually examining itself. So you get away from the examining the physical world. You get away from examining Brandon. You get away from Cliff and all its bullshit too, because that's a means to an end. You turn the light of awareness back on itself, and that's where you build. That's what grows. And you stop being so concerned with how much you need to invest in this other shit. The non-physical world is equally as illusionary as the physical world. The physical world is just more dense. And so you get excited in the astral realm. I can do all of these. Oh, look at me. Ultimate power. It's another illusion, dude. And see, the point isn't to get away from all illusion. It's to learn to wield it. It's to learn to wield it. You in the astral realm and you create 1,000,000 swords and they fly and slay your enemies. What are you doing? You're wielding illusion. See, you don't want to get rid of illusion. Because without illusion, what distinction would there have been between the swords and the things that you were stabbing or the place that you were? There'd have been no distinction. There'd have been no limitation, no defining lines. What's the nature and substance of that place that you're in? Hey, come on, bro. The illusion ain't something you get rid of. You learn to wield it, especially on the left-hand path. This is why I'm consistently saying, what is you? What are you agreeing to? What are you agreeing to? Go ahead and tell me nothing else matters. Okay, well, what is you? Now, sure, that matters. Go ahead, pretend like it don't. It do, because you're going to keep doing the same things you always do. You're going to stay religious to the same things you've always been religious to. What you mean religion? Oh, don't fuck with Jesus. Don't worship nothing. No, you're religious to all kinds of things. You eat every day. You do that religiously, don't you? That's a kind of worship, ain't it? Do you even examine your relationship to it? No. Why? Because what do you mean? That's nothing. Okay. Again, man, what do you agree to? What do you agree to? The ego is not your enemy. It's the defining lines of yourself. It's what allows you to be a you. It's what makes the difference, like literally, the difference. Mathematical word, it makes the difference. Shadow work ain't just looking at, because a lot of people, if all you've come for is meaning in life and you want to feel better, shadow work is just going to be making a more comfortable experience for Brandon, being more open with yourself about Brandon, because this is why I say, man, I would say don't settle for that. Don't just settle for good human life. Figure out why you do what you do, not just so you can feel better about it, but so you can stop doing it or you can do new things. So you want to figure out how to do some new type of manifestation. Figure out the old manifestation you were doing. Your journey to dissect and dismantle that will give you all the answers to the questions you're looking for on how to manifest. Because you'll see how you've been doing it already. And then you can not only stop doing that, but develop new things intentionally. It can all be so simple. This shit is right under the surface. People be surprised how surface level they are. You want to think of yourself as rich and complex and deep and most of you niggas is surface level. You're surface level. You've never really had to question the foundations of anything. You go on the same assumptions everyone else goes on. And then, when somebody says, well, I've been lied to my whole life. You mean you ate lies your whole life? You consumed them? You accepted lies your whole life? What, you think there's some thing where people ain't supposed to lie to you? What the fuck is that? A cosmic sky daddy who gonna come and punish you and make you say sorry? Fuck is this, kindergarten? Of course it is for a lot of motherfuckers, and I have to accept that. And it's not a bad thing. Niggas got to start in kindergarten, but you got to recognize you're in kindergarten and not pretend like you're at college. That's real shit, bro. You got to pretend. You can't just be pretending like you're in college unless that's part of the activity for the day in kindergarten, I guess. Oh, yeah. Let me finish this video. Because I'm not trying to shit on niggas in kindergarten. Niggas got to be in kindergarten when they're in kindergarten. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Okay.
Let me frame it this way, okay? If what you are is Cliff playing that video game, right? Yeah. And it's Zip that's in the game. If it's Cliff that's playing the game, then the shit that you're worried about as Zip isn't necessarily applicable when you move from that perspective. But see, the thing, okay, this is more to it. There's no time in the game when you're playing Zip that you're not already Cliff. But it's what you're agreeing to. That's why I say, what is you? Because whatever you've decided for you is what you get. You get what you asked for. So are you playing Zip or are you playing Cliff?
Damn, nigga, you really
I can tell you Cliff probably ain't gonna have no trouble with that door. Zip, most certainly, because he's supposed to. He's the idea of yourself based on the idea that what you are is the physical body, but you trying to work from the idea of what you are is something outside of that. So you got to change your premises of thinking.
I got you, bro.
You feel me?
That shit makes sense because it's like this shit I known, but I've been pussyfooting around it, bro.
Playing games. Yeah.
I'm thinking doing physical exercise is gonna make me mentally strong. It's not. It's really that fucking energy, bro. I gotta step into that.
For real, you gotta say that shit with your chest.
Nah, no cap, bro. Like, fuck it, bring it on, bitch. That type of shit, like.
Yeah, bro, y'all niggas be playing games, be pussyfooting around that shit. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's the biggest thing, bro. Like I said, motherfuckers ain't really interested in the meaning of life. They're listening for meaning in life, and they don't even want to admit it to themselves of how hurt, lonely, and empty they feel. They don't. I get it. There's so many different levels to loneliness. Oh, some really awfully delicious ones. Oh God, there's some shit. There's some I just still don't get over. But you playing games. If you want it, you gotta go 10 toes down. You gotta jump in that shit. You gotta embrace this stuff. See, most people just go along and they collect a bunch of information from people that they feel good about listening to, but they never do nothing. They never do anything. They don't even know what it means to do something, but they don't want to admit that because they don't want to look stupid. As if they don't already look stupid. And so you play games the whole time. You do the little thing where you drop little hints. You know, you sit in the back, maybe throw some fire emojis out. Okay, but you will never actually do nothing. That's what I'm saying. Fuck around and find out. But hey, I mean, you could use this stuff for self-help, but I wouldn't suggest the left-hand path for self-help. I wouldn't suggest the left-hand path for self-help. I gotta say, bro, I throw niggas in the deep end. Yeah, you get what you ask for. It's not like you're gonna drown or nothing. Shit. No. It's not like you're gonna drown or nothing. You'll be alright. You'll be alright. It is some of the stuff we talk about at boot camp as well, man. It's getting you ready to start engaging with this stuff. Now, mind you, I've had one person come to the boot camp. It could have been most people who've done this before, but I know this explicitly because I went back and worked with him. When he first came to the boot camp, he had his chest out. You know, he felt good about being able to see it a different way. Being able to he basically, he came in and his answers to the questions would be more so prideful things, kind of shadowy shit, right? And so I mean, I still give him the information. I'm not judging you, telling you whether or not what you say, what you're doing is wrong, but he knew what it was. And so he eventually went out here and he started fucking with stuff. And he fucking with it disrespectful. You know how you disrespectful to a nigga you know can't do shit? When he got it in his head, these motherfuckers can't do shit to me. I'm you know, whatever spooky name. He went in disrespectful. But see, here's the thing about that. It's he went in with a fancy version of human. So this part of it, I don't suggest left-hand path for self-help. Because these dark things, they eat that shit. Like, that's food. And so you just like you walk into a zoo exhibit with a pack of wolves dressed in a steak suit with A1 sauce dripping. Talking about, you niggas can't do nothing to me. What? I ain't got a single thing you can even do, nigga. And then you get mad when your suit all chewed up. You know? Because mind you, look, you walk into that exhibit without the meat suit on, you probably could be the realest nigga in the world. You know, David's in the lion's den. You know, you could be the realest nigga in the world. But I guarantee you it's not going to work that way. You got a suit of meat on around motherfuckers that archetypally eat this shit. Right? Like motherfuckers that deal with the boundaries of your psyche itself. And you want to just like piss on that motherfucker without having any conception of how it works. Just know how I'm not scared. But you're not scared because you think it can't do shit to you. And when you find out it can do shit to you, you find there's a reason to be scared. Yeah. I ended up working with him for months, really, bro. Real shit. Because it took a while for him to get past that fear. Because that shit, it gets real quick. It gets real quick. And you go in there playing human. Yeah, you get humble straight up. Exactly, Dawson. You get humble. You get humble. That motherfucker, even to this day, he still don't really want to fuck with nothing dark. I'm telling you, because just like a lot of people I work with, he has the skill to do it. I we've had these discussions. I've seen it before, but it's the fear. It's the fear. And motherfuckers don't want to engage with how fearful they are. They like to see themselves a certain way, which is how you get the shadow stuff. I don't want to see myself as somebody who's dumb, so I'm not going to ask a question. I don't want to look dumb. That looks dumb. That's dumb. It's cognitive dissonance. It's the way we contort our idea of ourselves to make it comfortable, even when we know it's not comfortable. It's the fixed mechanisms, it's trauma, but you have to go back through that shit. You can't just say, I'm a god now, and fuck all this other stuff. Because, no, you've already started the game. You already rolled the dice. You already agreed to these things. Ignorance of the agreements you're making is no excuse. Ignorance of the law is no excuse. Go up in there thinking you panic, and it tells you what you've been hiding. Right? Niggas go in there pretending to be panicked, right? It's crazy. That's what the fake it till you make it shit do, though, bro. I do not suggest you fake anything. I suggest you face yourself honestly. Because otherwise, you leave yourself open. You agree to be left open like that. Like, that's what I'm saying. All this shit you're agreeing to. But what is you? That's at the center of every single agreement. What is you? It's at the center of every single agreement. If you want to begin to find meaning in life, that's where you start. You have to get a grasp or a hold on that. Not just this idea of yourself that you like to have. But you have to actually see what the fuck is in your hand. Actually look at it if you're really going to deal with it. Hey, man. I don't know what to tell you. You gotta not do it because I just told you. Fuck you talking about. Let me see. Was there anything else I wanted to really get into today? Here, this is what I'll do. One last thing. Where are you? Damn it, man. Where did I put that shit? Hold on. Sorry, opening up my slides. Because I was gonna show you real quick the diagram I usually use to talk about this framework and just to kind of point some things out. Nah, this bitch tripping. No, I don't want to do none of that. Discard that. Open up this. It's like motherfuckers need me to say the same thing 7 different ways and 7 times. Oh no, I mean, hey, that's the wrong one. This ain't even the one I want. I can't tell you what you should do or how you should do your shit. I suggest listening, reevaluating how you listen. And then, God damn it, where is this thing? This may be it. This may be it. Yeah, I can just share that screen because I don't have nothing secret on the screen. Boom, shakalaka, bow. Remember I was telling y'all about the fucking the sphere and the cube, right? Empty space, primordial, non-physical, and physical, all in the same place. There's not really any place. It's an abstraction. It's a conception. Here we go. I love this. Because I went over this stuff in the Self-Deification 101 video. All right. You say you're not the body. You say the physical world is an illusion. Okay, well, what's left? I'm Brandon. But there's some detail to that. Okay? It's not only is this idea of I'm Brandon really just the things you like to see, because when you look at it as a totality, there's a whole bunch of other stuff that's I am Brandon that you don't really like to look at. Even though Brandon ain't really what you are to begin with. And this is going to get you in the direction you want to go. It's using Cliff. So it's not just simply experiencing yourself as Cliff, but also going back and mitigating this Brandon stuff so that it's not getting in the way. You remember in that movie Inception where dude was going through all the dreams and shit, and his own shit would pop up in other people's dreams because he was taking it with him? That's what I'm saying. Like, you can't take this bullshit with you. Otherwise, it's just going to pop up and act out. It's like fucking... what is it? Sun Wukong in the fucking stables of the gods, acting up, doing monkey ass shit in a divine place. Like that's really what you're agreeing to do, and it's gonna give you trouble. It's gonna hold you down. So you got to go through the Brandon shit, okay? And this shit can all be so simple. Once again, this is a framework. This is a diagram. Okay, I'm not telling you there's some new thing out there you got to go get, go see, go do, go be. You're already doing it. You're never not doing it. But it's about how you're choosing to frame your reality. And you have to look at the details because no one else is obligated to. No one else is obligated to. You get what you want. You get what you ask for. You get what you ask for. You always do. You always do. All right, y'all. This has been it for me. This is actually it. Okay. This is part number 2 for the Shadow Work Show. Please, anything I say, give me the smoke. I will go back. We can debate. I don't mind. Give me the smoke. Okay. Especially when I'm not under the weather or anything. I appreciate y'all coming back through, sticking with me. Like I said, go back, watch it, look at it again. Figure out what it is you do understand, and use that to find what you don't understand. As always, man, y'all know where to find me. I appreciate you giving me another piece of your Monday morning, and I'm gonna be seeing you, bruh.